To come forward and deliver tonight's lecture. Welcome with loud Nare Taqvi.
Allahu Akbar.
Takbir.
Allahu Akbar.
Nare Risalat.
Ya Rasulullah.
Nare Risalat.
Ya Rasulullah.
Nare Haydari.
Ya Ali.
Haydari.
Ya Ali.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.
لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل، نعم المولى ونعم النصير. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي لم يتخذ ولدا ولم يكن له شريك في الملك ولم يكن له ولي من الذل وكبره تكبيرا.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.
ثم الصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على الرسول النبي الأمي الذي أرسله بالحق بشيرا ونذيرا وداعيا إلى الله بإذنه سراجا منيرا سيدنا ومولانا بالقاسم المصطفى محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.
وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين الغر الميامين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.
ولعنة الله على أعدائهم. أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى في كتابه المبين قوله الحق وهو أصدق القائلين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وما أرسلناك إلا رحمة للعالمين. صدق الله العلي العظيم.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the life that He gave us, which is a blessing. But it is no ordinary life. It is a life that we spend in love and memory of Muhammad and Al Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.
And that is a bigger blessing and a big ni'mah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward those who are in service of this maktab and this madhab and this household. The ulama, the salihin, the shuhada, the siddiqeen, the qurra, the writers, the reciters. Every act, as rigid as it may seem, in their household, for their service, is not a minor act, but it is rather a very major act. Sometimes you're not able to gauge the reward of what has happened, or what, when a person comes up to recite, and he recites his dua, or he recites his salam al-marfi, and in that instance, your heart connects to one of the ma'asumeen. It has not connected to the ma'asumeen, but it has connected to the arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because these divine names and these divine individuals and these divine personalities don't exist in a realm that is familiar to us. We are insignificant in the order of creation. If you were to really look at creation, the purpose of creation, Allah says, I have created everyone, but I have created you to worship me. And we look at ourselves and we look around ourselves, we don't see people who are fit to worship except for Muhammad and Al Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.
So it was enough for Allah to have been present and created Rasulullah and Al-Rasul, and the philosophy of the purpose of creation would have been complete. But it is the lutf of Muhammad al-Mustafa that we are his creation.
Subhanallah.
It is through his nur that we exist. Otherwise, nothing would exist. It was very enough for Allah. One sajda from Rasulullah was kafi for the purpose of creation.
Wow.
फलसफे खिलकत तमाम होता है यहाँ पे एक सजदा रसूलुल्लाह को काफी करता है
बड़ी बात कह दी है वाह 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 वाह
ये तो उनके वजूद का लुत्फ है कि सब कायनात सजी हुई है
माशाअल्लाह
इसमें हमारे कमाल it is nothing of our doing, it is nothing of our happening. We should not feel such. As I mentioned last week, that for the next few weeks or so, we'll be speaking about dua al-kumail.
MashaAllah.
And the fadilah of dua al-kumail. And that is the reason I started with this ayah, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ.
Subhanallah.
Because Imam Ali starts with the dua which says, Allahumma inni as'aluka bi rahmatika Allah, तुम्हें उस रहमत का वास्ता कि जिसने तमाम चीजों को घेरे भी लिया है जैसे वो इमाम अली से कुरान से ओ रसूलुल्लाह यू आर द रहमत इमाम अली से कि अल्लाह तुझे मोहम्मद का वास्ता कि जिसने तमाम चीजों को घेरे भी लिया
अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला मुहम्मद व आलि मुहम्मद व अज्जिल फरजहुम बेशक
The love Imam Ali has for Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi and the love Rasulullah has for Imam Ali, we cannot talk about, we cannot discuss, we cannot gauge, we don't know the extent of it. It is, how do I say it where it is not rude? How do I say it when it is not offensive? It is crude, it is vulgar, it is foolish to learn of Muhammad from anyone except for Ali. Nobody has the Muhammad that you're looking for. The Muhammad that Allah has designated for each and every one of us. We do not have access to that Muhammad except for that one door, Ali ibn Abi Talib. Sometimes many things we hear in history, many things are mentioned in history, on the manabir in the books, but because of our distance from our mudala'a or readings, learnings, we find ourselves a little removed from them. Imam Ali is the same one when he was 2 years old. Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib was 2 years old. Rasulullah would carry him in the valleys of Makkah when Imam Ali is 2 years old and he would say, هذا وصيي. This is my wasi. وزوج ابنتي. And he is the husband of my daughter. इसने पूछा नहीं which daughter Muhammad? When Imam Ali was 2 years old, Rasulullah would carry him. Or you find this in the books of the Amma. And this is not from our ahadith. There's many things are inserted into our hikmah, but did not belong to us. They say, why did Ali live with Rasulullah? Because, you'll find this in the books of the Ahl Sunnah. Because it was difficult for Abu Talib to manage so many children. So Rasulullah said, my uncle Abu Talib, give me one of your children so the financial burden becomes less. जब पूरा अरब भूखा मर रहा था, जिस शेर में लोग गए थे, उस शेर का नाम क्या था? They said we took Ali because Abu Talib was not financially able to feed Ali. And when all of Arabia boycotted Rasulullah, where did Rasulullah go and find peace? In the sanctuary of Shia Abi Talib. All the Muslims were present where? In the Shia Abi Talib. It belongs to Abu Talib. He's the one that feeds.
Yeah.
He's the one that feeds. And another thing is, like Halima Sa'adiyah, we have this riwayah. We don't have it, the Ahl Sunnah. Rasulullah, when he was young, they took him to the desert, they gave him to this woman called Halima Sa'adiyah, who became the mother of Rasulullah. When you read the Quran, if you read the Quran, why did Musa and how did Musa meet his mother again? Because Asiya was sitting there and wondering, why is this child not taken from any woman? Why would this child not feed off the milk of any other woman?
Yeah.
You understand, Ismat Masoom has a standard and a benchmark.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल बेशक
The Masoom has a standard and a benchmark. It won't take from anyone else.
वैसे ही
It won't take from anyone else. We, as the lovers of the Ahlul Bayt,
बेशक
we, as the followers of the Ahlul Bayt, we, as the servants, inshallah, of the Ahlul Bayt, should always consider ourselves outside the household, because their respect is something else, so we cannot speak in the internal affairs of the household. But I will ask you this question. Do you know how Imam al-Hussein was fed when he was young? Like when you are in this world, अब दुनिया में बच्चा है तो खाएगा पिएगा तो सही,
जी
चाहे वो नूर का ही क्यों ना बना हो, अब जब यहाँ पे है खाकी दुनिया में, so the child needs to feed and eat and drink. The imams would drink and eat. So Imam Hussein, do you know how Imam Hussein was fed when he was young, when he was born? Rasulullah would come home many times every single day. He would put his finger in Imam Hussein's mouth. He would put his tongue into Imam Hussein's mouth. This was the internal intent. This was the initial feed for Imam Hussein. Husaynun minni. Hussein has fed off me. Of who? Of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.
And this has been the seerah of the Ahlul Bayt. So if you have the Ahlul Bayt who are waiting for Rasulullah or another Hujjah of Allah, so they can eat from this world, the Sayyidul Rusul, the father of Zahra, will go to some other person and take his nourishment from another person. This is ghair mahfuz. You won't accept this from Musa, but you expect this from Rasulullah, because you've taken Rasulullah from everybody else except for Ali. Had you taken Rasulullah from Imam Ali and the family of Imam Ali, you'd understand what is the Rasul in the books and what is the Rasul who's the father of Zahra salamullah alayhi. Sallu ala Nabi Rasulullah Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.
First, we identify what our source is, where we take our knowledge from, who do we acquire from, whose door we sit at. The Quran will teach us, the Ahlul Bayt will teach us, the Aql will tell us, the teachers and the philosophers will tell us. فَلْيَنْظُرِ الْمَرْءُ إِلَىٰ طَعَامِهِ. A man, when he eats, should see his food where it comes from. Ta'am is not only material, ta'am is not food in your plate. Ta'am is what you're listening to, ta'am is what you're looking at, ta'am is what you feed your soul. You have to be careful where it comes from. If it does not come from the door of the Ahlul Bayt, it is a creation of one's imagination. Mujhe aisa lagta hai. I think, therefore, it should be the case. If your intellect was capable to connect to the heavens, there would be no need for Anbiya to come down from the heavens. The uqul, the intellect, is qasir. The intellect is disabled. It has a handicap. It cannot exist beyond a realm. It cannot traverse. The intellect cannot traverse. It cannot go beyond levels. थोड़ी सी मैं फलसफी बात करूँगा. आलम malakut. There's an alam jabarut where we are. There's alam malakut where the angels are. There's jabarut, nasut, hahut, lahut, and all those maqamat. They say the aql salim is made of nur. And the malaika are made of nur, and the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam are made from nur. But there's a difference in the anwar. The malaika and the uqul are from the same nur, and this nur is taken from the nur of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.
If your intellect, if your aql was to process at 100%, the highest level of your human intellect will not go beyond Jibreel. The height of your intellect will not exceed Jibreel because you are made from the same matter, you're made from the same material, the same type of form. There will come a time when Jibreel say, Ya Rasulullah, I cannot go beyond this point. If I was to go beyond this point, mere par jayenge. My wings will set fire. I cannot go beyond this point. This is only for you and yours. This is for you and yours. So a person should understand the limitations of the intellect, how far the intellect can traverse, and then gauge this understanding. That is why we realize our pettiness, how small we are, how insignificant we are, and how much we need the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. जिस शख्स को अपने मरज की संगीनी का अंदाजा हो जाता है, वो बेताबों की तरह डॉक्टर की तलाश करता है. The one who understands how insignificant he is will really then appreciate the value of Muhammad and Muhammad. But to someone who thinks that nahi sab kuch aata hai, we know everything, then he is not going to chase, and he will die in that ignorance. There's two types of jahl, fundamentally. One is jahil, adi, one is jahil murakkab. One person is jahil, ignorant, and he knows he's ignorant. I don't know where Belfast is. I just know it's up north. Where exactly it is, I don't know. Belfast. ये जहल है. जहल मुरक्कब ये है, I don't even know it exists. कभी नाम नहीं सुना, पता नहीं है. It's like a person, खुदा आप सबको लंबी उम्र दे, अल्लाह आपके मरीजों को शिफायात करे. It's like someone who has cancer and does not know he has cancer. This is jahal murakkab. The first one is he does not know and he knows he does not know. The second one does not know and he does not even know he does not know. जो अहले बैत के दरवाजे पे आके बैठते हैं उसको पता चलता है मुझे नहीं पता. And the one who leaves the door of the अहले बैत पे अपने नाम जाकर लगाते हैं मुफ्ती, फिर 4 मकतब खुलते हैं, फिर वो इमाम मकतब बनते हैं.
ऐसा ही है.
सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम.
अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला मुहम्मद व आलि मुहम्मद व अज्जिल फरजहुम.
Sitting at the door of the Ahlul Bayt will give us the humility, because you will not find more humble beings than the Ahlul Bayt. And exclude the divine aspect, exclude the spiritual aspect, exclude वो जो फज़ाइल है ना रसूलुल्लाह के, जो फज़ाइल हैं अहले बैत के, anything that is, remove all of that. On a simple, fundamental ground basis, just what me and you can relate to. If somebody is given a position of power or authority, you want to call him 100 times, he won't respond to you. You want him to do something, even if he can do it. This is the nature of power. Power corrupts. Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. This is the nature of human beings. But power does not corrupt the Ahlul Bayt because they are the source of power. And they give power. And because of them, power exists in this realm. Without them, there is no power. There is no. जिसको लगता है कि मैं बहुत ताकतवर हूँ, is fooling himself. Imam Sajjad alayhi salatu wasalam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum.
Has proved it in that incident when they handcuffed him and they put chains around his arms and his hands. And they rejoiced and celebrated and they said, now we have you as a captive. The Imam looked at him and the Imam smiled. And he moved his hand and the chains fell to the ground. And the Imam made another signal and the chains came back. He says, we're not captives of you. हम तुम्हारे कैप्टन नहीं हैं. This is the mashiyah of Allah. This is between us and Allah. This does not involve you. इसमें तुम्हारा कोई सरोकार नहीं है. खामखाई इसमें कुछ नहीं होता. इससे तुम्हारा कोई ताल्लुक नहीं है. You're not a part of this equation. Do not force yourself into this equation. You don't belong here. ये हमारे रब का ताल्लुक है. तुम किसी गिनती में नहीं आते. You're not part of the equation. You don't even belong here. This is not your space. You think you do something and you think it will affect us. This is beyond you. This is below you. This is not for me. हमारा रब का ताल्लुक. So in this realm they exist. Allahumma inni as'aluka bi rahmatika allati wasi'at kull shay. Imam Ali starts the dua. Oh Allah, I ask you bi rahmatika allati, your rahmah that has enveloped everywhere, and the ayah says, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. You, Rasulullah, are the rahmatul alameen. Imam Ali starts here. Imam Ali starts here. When Allah wanted to test Tawheed, what is Tawheed? Allah is one, Allah is the Khaliq, Allah has all these sifat. This is Tawheed. And nobody except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has this power independently. The Muwahhid, the one who believes in Tawheed, believes that Allah has the power independently, and anybody who has this power, if Allah gives it to them, is dependent on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for his power. This Tawheed. Allah wants to test Tawheed. Allah would not do it by himself. अपनी ज़ात पर रखकर अल्लाह तौहीद में इम्तिहान लेता. अल्लाह एक नबी को खाक से खल्क करता है, फिर कहता है इसको सजदा करो. Allah wants to test Tawheed. He won't do it directly. He will create Adam and then ask everybody to make sajda towards Adam. तौहीद का इम्तिहान नबूवत के जरिए लिया जाता है. नबूवत का इम्तिहान किसके जरिए लेना चाहिए? जो अली को नहीं मानता वो नबी को नहीं मानता. मैं नहीं कह रहा, अल्लाह की सुन्नत. अल्लाह की सुन्नत है, सुन्नत इलाही. This is Allah's sunnah. If Allah wants to test Tawheed, He will test it through Nubuwah. And if Allah wants to test your faith towards Nubuwah, your iman on Nubuwah, your belief towards Nubuwah, He will test you through Imam. एक बात कहूँ, जितना वो दिन था ना जब अल्लाह ने आदम को खल्क किया था, तौहीद का इम्तिहान था, उसके बराबर अल्लाह ने गदीर बुला के रखा है. अल्लाह ने उनको बराबर आके रखा गदीर को. ऐसा ही है जी, ऐसे ही. अल्लाह ने सिलसिला इस तरह जोड़ रखा है, इसलिए जितना ऊंचा मिंबर बन सकता था उतना ऊंचा मिंबर बनाया. फिर साहिबी मिंबर, और फिर जब मिंबर पे रसूलुल्लाह ले गए, जितना अल्लाह के रसूल इमाम अली को ज़ाहिरी दुनिया में बुलंद कर सकते थे, इतना बुलंद किया कि मौला के पाँव जो हैं रसूलुल्लाह के जानों से टकरा रहे थे, दोनों हाथों पे इस तरह से बुलंद किया. There is no tawheed without wilayah of Ali ibn Abi Talib. There is no tawheed. And I think I mentioned this here or somewhere else. When you tell your child, when you tell your child, beta, become a godly son, go look for Allah. When you tell your son, beta, go look for Allah. Oh my son, go look for Allah. Yeah, go look for your God. So someday he'll go to the mandir, one day he'll go to the church, one day he'll go to the synagogue, one day he'll come to the masjid. Why? Because he's looking for God. If he spends 40 years in पर्वत पे चला गया नेपाल में, तो मसला हो जाएगा, तो खुदा मुश्किल से मिलेगा इसको. फिर you make it easier for him. कहते हैं जाओ बेटा मोहम्मद को ढूंढो. You make the daira small for him कि बेटा go look for Rasulullah. उसमें भी मसला है. बहुत सारी मस्जिदें कहीं भी जा सकता है. उससे को खुदा वो ढूंढो जो मोहम्मद ने बताया हो, इसको अली ने समझाया हो। अली वाला खुदा ढूंढो तो यहाँ आएगा। सलाम भेज दे मोहम्मद वालों को।
नारा हैदरी।
तो तौहीद सभी वाली नहीं चाहिए, तौहीद अली वाली चाहिए। This is the tawheed we want. This is the tawheed we need. Because where else would you find this? I want to repeat this incident for the children so they understand and relate. The reason the Ahlul Bayt stand head and shoulders above everybody else is because of their khas behavior and their khas custom. The incident goes, it is the season of Hajj. Imam al-Hasan al-Mustafa alayhi salatu wasalam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum.
Who's done more than 25 Hajj walking. The Imam would go bare feet towards the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ये तो इमाम का लुत्फ और करम है। इमाम की जर्रा नवाजी है कि इमाम काबे के पास चले जाते हैं। इमाम की जर्रा नवाजी है कि इमाम काबे के पास चले जाते हैं। 25 years, the Imam, more than that, has gone for Hajj. One of these journeys, the Imam, because this is Alam al-Asbab, because this is Alam al-Imkan, because this is this realm where the Imam exists. When the Imam is hungry, he will eat. When the Imam is thirsty, he will drink. So Imam was walking, unke paw mein baram aa gaya, his foot became swollen. Imam al-Hasan. So according to some riwayat, the riwayat says Abdullah bin Ja'far al-Tayyar, the husband of Zayd sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, was with the Imam in the journey and says, Ya Imam, oh Imam Hassan, I've heard on the way there's a Habashi man, someone from Ethiopia. He has, in my words, he has a stall where he sells different ointments and different oils. So if you allow, I will go and I will buy from him this oil so you can use it. Inshallah, this will benefit you. I said, this is Hajj season. Pure saal to Hajj nahi aate, they're not here all year. So you'll see all these people come out from different parts of Arabia bringing different things to sell. And Hajj season is a festival of sorts.
Yeah.
Everyone is present. There's so many people coming. And they know you are a traveler, so they can ask you for any price they want. This is how normally capitalism marketing hoti hai. Jo bech raha hai, the one who's selling sells at the highest price possible, and the one buying wants to buy it at the lowest price possible. Jabki Shariat tells us these people who are selling, जो illegal बेचने की बात नहीं कर रहा मैं, but people जो आप पाकिस्तान in India में you find them, जो stalls पे केले अमरूद they're selling fruits वगैरह, उनसे ज़्यादा जरा और बहस मत किया करें, बेचारा खुद तो गरीब आदमी होता है।
जी।
He himself is a poor man. उससे आप जो है ज़्यादा जरा करेंगे, लेकिन दुकान में जाके जहाँ फिक्स प्राइस होती है वहाँ पे पैसे ही करते हैं।
बड़ी बात है।
जो करोड़पति अगर पति होता है, person who's a billionaire or millionaire, nobody argues with him कि भाई उस पे फिक्स प्राइस होती है। लेकिन जो बेचारा उसकी दिहाड़ी दिन की 50-100 रुपए है, उसे जरा करते हैं। ये शान मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद के चाहने वालों में नहीं है। This is not our anyways. So Imam Hassan says yes. Go to this person, go to this fellow who is of his cultural heritage is in Abyssinian, Habashi hai. Habashi, when he writes in context Habashi, it means कि पहले गुलाम था अब आज़ाद हो गया। Imam Hassan says, don't tell him, बताता नहीं, don't tell him who you're buying this ointment for. Tell him that you want it, and he says, do not argue with him, do not hackle with him. जो वो price कहे, उतनी price में दे देना। bring it back. He says, okay. He goes there. He meets this person who's selling the oil and ointment. And he says, I want this, and how much? To Qimat batata. And Hazrat Abdullah says, okay, here's the money, give me the oil. The riwayah says the person who's selling the oil, he stops and he pauses. And he says, where are you from? Kahan se aaya? He said, what is it to you? Take your money, give me the oil. You don't have anything to do with this. Where I've come from, who this oil is for. He says, no. I said, the riwayah does not say, give any detail. The man looks at Abdullah bin Ja'far al-Tayyar and he asks him this question, where are you from? But this person must have 100 customers at least. He doesn't ask everybody, kahan se aaye ho, how will you do business? He must have noticed something in Abdullah bin Ja'far al-Tayyar which was different from the rest of his other customers and clients. Kuch to notice kiya hoga na? For the children, I'll ask. Abhi bachon ko, they know this istilah. When you see a street man, you know what a street man is? And the way he talks, you know he belongs to the street. When you see someone with a posh accent, you know he does not belong to the street. When you see someone carry himself a certain way, you know that this person is special. आप लोगों के dialect से, the way they're treating you, the way they're dealing with you, आप अंदाजा लगा सकते हैं कौन कहाँ से आया। अबू तालिब के खून में कुछ तो तासीर होगी। Something special in the blood of Abu Talib, alayhi salatu wasalam, that this man stops and he says, where are you from? Abdullah. And he haggles and he haggles. Imam Hassan पहले बता चुके थे, देखो बताना नहीं जी। तो Abdullah bin Amr says, I won't tell you, I'll take you. चलो साथ में। तो इमाम की बात भी तो मानना थी, बताना नहीं था। He takes him and he recognizes the Imam. An Abyssinian slave, a person from Abyssinia, from North Africa, brought down as a slave to Arabia. He looks at the Imam and he recognizes him without having met him before. Do you know why the Quran says the enemy of Allah and the enemy of Rasulullah and the enemy of the Ahlul Bayt is kal an'am bal adal? They're worse than animals क्योंकि जानवर पहचानता है कि मेरा है दुश्मन नहीं एहतराम रखता हजार शेर लाके छोड़ दें जो भी पहचान लेगा कि ये ज़हरा की आदत तक नहीं करते लेकिन वो कैसे इंसान नुमा जानवर से बदतर व्यवहार करवा but this man, this Abyssinian man, he saw the Imam and he goes up to him, he says, I will not charge you for this ointment. I will not ask you for money for this ointment. But I have a request. What is the request? He says, when I left home, my wife was about to give birth. When I left home, my wife was about to give birth. Please pray that her time of difficulty becomes easy for her. You know what the response of Imam Hassan is? It says, Allah has given you a son. He is healthy and your wife is also healthy. He will live a long life. وَهُوَ مِنْ خُلَّسِ شِيَعَتِنَا और हमारे खास शियों में से he will be one of the selected Shias. You know what selected Shia means? ये हबशी गुलाम का बेटा, when the Imam says, मिसाल जो mindset है उनका, Imam says खुल्लस में शिया नहीं हुआ, यानी सलमान, यानी मिर्दाल, यानी सलाह भेजना.
محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.
The reason I brought this hadith is for the children to understand, especially the young ones who want to work and do business and have a job and do duty. If risk was dependent of how many hours you put on the clock every day, then there's a misal amongst the ulama that the donkey would be the richest one. जितनी मेहनत लगा करता है कोई और जानवर करता है जो हल चलाता है, he must have had all the money. लेकिन risk is not dependent on how many hours you put in. Because risk is in his hand.
ऐसा ही
इसने तेल कितना में बनाया होगा और कितना इसने बेचा होगा ये तेल जो इसने अपनी नस्लों की आक़िबत खरीद ली
ऐसा ही
When dealing with Shias, when dealing with fellow human beings, sometimes in dealings there might be some up and down. Azizan Muhtaram, I will say this in English and also in Urdu. कहेंगे मौलाना साहब तो बिजनेस करते नहीं, हमें जो वो घाटे का सौदा करवाएंगे। सिर्फ ये कह के छोड़ देना कि इसके दिल में ज़हरा की मोहब्बत है। सरकारी कहाँ की जिंदगी में काम आएगी ना कि आपको खबर भी नहीं, आपको खबर भी नहीं, क्योंकि अब इक्वेशन में आपने एक ऐसी हस्ती को शामिल कर लिया जिसको इमाम कहते हैं, हम इमाम सब पर हुज्जत हैं, ये ज़हरा हम पर हुज्जत है।
صلى على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.
Running around all hours is not what gives you risk. Allah says, يَرْزُقْهُم مِّنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. We will give them risk from places they haven't even accounted for. لَا يَحْتَسِبُ, they have not even accounted for. They don't know where this risk was coming from. We will give them the risk. We will provide them the risk. This barakah comes from the love of Zahra and the love of the children of Zahra. The tabarruk you give here at the Husayniyah, or the tabarruk, or you a glass of water you give for the love of Zahra, you cannot calculate how this ends for you. और जहाँ पे end होता है वहाँ से शुरू होता है रिवायत का. You have to understand that. और जो नहीं समझते इस बात को, they don't understand. Another example from the life of Rasulullah, a man comes up to Risalat Ma'ab and he says, Ya Rasulullah, and he used to pray in the masjid, he used to pray Jama'at, he used to be with Rasulullah, sitting with him in all hours. He says, Rasulullah, I am very poor. So Rasulullah gives him a dirham here. Rasulullah says, here, take a dirham. Dinar is with gold and dirham is silver. One silver coin, they take this. So now in Arab that time they would go buy a few dates, go on another location and then sell those dates. They would dig a well, get water and then sell the water. A big business of the. So this man takes the one dirham. And the barakah of Rasulullah's dirham is such that this man becomes a very, very wealthy and very rich man. Very wealthy and very rich man. Now he has farms and animals. So Rasulullah says, go to this person, tell him we need zakat. Zakat ka saal pura ho gaya, go ask him for the zakat. So he says, why should I give zakat? I've worked very hard for this. जो मेरे पास है ये I've worked very hard. खुम्स में भी मसला होता है मुझे जी कि 1 करोड़ मैंने 20 लाख क्यों दे दिया? क्यों खुम्स नहीं? मैं इसमें क्या करूँ, बोलेंगे अपनी बात कर लें। नहीं मैं इसको तारीफ दे देता हूँ भाई समझ के बिस्मिल्लाह बीबी का एक पैसा आपके पास नहीं होना चाहिए इंशाअल्लाह, ये आपका नहीं है, उनका है। जिस तरह भी आप उनको पहुंचाना समझें बेहतर, कुरान का हुक्म है खुम्स बीबी का हक है। समटाइम्स यू फील 1 करोड़ में से 20 लाख बड़ी अमाउंट लगती है, वो 1 करोड़ भी उनका है, वो 20 लाख भी उनके हैं, आप जैसे ही है। इसमें आप there's no us and you and them. It all belongs, it is theirs. As soon as you feel मेरा है, I worked hard, जहाँ पे I आता है तो go back to the first ayah of Quran, शैतान। चलेंगे, काम हो गया। So Rasulullah says, अच्छा, ये कहा, this is what he said. He said, yes, I worked hard for it. Rasulullah says, call him. The man comes, Rasulullah says, जो मैंने तुम्हें dirham दिया था वापस करो. The dirham I gave you, give it back to me. And he says, 1 dirham से क्या होता है? He gives Rasulullah the money. 1 dirham वापस करता, खत्म. Everything that came to him is gone.
So, yes.
The barakah is not in the dirham, the barakah is in Muhammad and Al Muhammad.
صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.
The barakah comes from there, the rahmah comes from there. It may look small, it may look एक लगेगा ना, एक dirham से क्या चलेगा? कहना चला दिया अल्लाह ने एक मोहम्मद से, एक अली से, एक फातिमा से, एक हसन से, सलाम
صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.
When you're looking at this family, जब इस खानदान को देख रहे हो तो अदद करना चाहिए. अल्लाह ने एक अता किया और कहा इन्ना अतैना कल कौसर सुभान अल्लाह इन्ना शानिअका हुवल अब्तर. Never feel anything you've done for the Ahlul Bayt is little. Never feel that way. एक कलाम में कसीदा. Sometimes people ask होता है and take it as an advice. कभी होता है कि somebody wants to recite a Nawha, but he's not a good Nawha Khan. He may not be the best of Nawha Khans. Let him recite the Nawha. क्योंकि जिस दिल से वो याद कर रहा है ना, हो सकता है सबकी बख्शिश उसके दिल की वजह से हो जाए. Dua same way. The dua same way. When somebody is reciting the dua, he wants to participate. Give him a chance. Let him recite. Maybe his pronunciation of the word is not how it is supposed to be, but his sentiment is better than everybody sitting in this room.
सही है दिल से
क्योंकि वो यहाँ से दुआ मांग रहा है.
बेशक
यहाँ से दुआ मांग रहा है. मिसाल के तौर पे, this is a book called Qasas al-Ulama. जब
जी
when ulama जब फारिग होते हैं कौम नजफ में पुराने ज़माने में, तो एक दूसरे के किस्से लिखा करते थे, उनके साथ ये हुआ, फिर शाहिद लेके आते थे. तो one of the qissas they wrote is this, कि one of the mashayikh, meaning one of the students, sheikh, his child fell sick. So he went to the doctors, he went to different places, because इसका इलाज नहीं हो रहा, पता नहीं क्यों. So he says कि there's another student here. They say his dua is mustajab. ये दुआ करते कबूल होती है. Why don't you go ask him to pray for your son? कहते हैं ठीक है. So he goes and he invites the person to his house and he says, please दुआ पढ़ने बच्चे के लिए. तो he picks up his hand and वो दुआ पढ़ते हैं. Oh, because he was not a native Arab speaker, तो एक लहजा था. अब वो अपने अंदाज में दुआ पढ़ रहे हैं तो उनका काफ और काफ और ये सब it's all getting mixed up.
मखरज जी
जितने मखारिज होंगे वो सब गलत हो रहे हैं. अच्छा ठीक हो गया. Alhamdulillah.
सुभान अल्लाह.
So the next day the talib ilm, the student goes to this old man and says कि शुक्रिया बहुत बहुत आप, लेकिन आपकी जो दुआ है उसमें मखरज आपका गलत है. उसने घर जा तुम्हारा बेटा फिर बीमार हो गया.
अल्लाह अकबर. शक
जो अल्लाह के मामला होते हैं इसमें बोलना नहीं चाहिए.
बेशक ऐसे ही वाकई
If a person has an individual connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, let him to maintain that individual connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
बेशक
और अलम पे खड़े हुए कितनी देर अपने मौला से क्या बात करता है, इससे किसी को कुछ सरोकार नहीं होना चाहिए. क्योंकि अच्छा, दिस इज अ डिस्क्लेमर एज ए मौलाना. आप प्रोफेशन तो कहना बुरा लगता है, बट आई हैव टू रिमाइंड पीपल दिस. क्रिश्चियनिटी में कन्फेशन चेंबर्स होते हैं, इस्लाम में कन्फेशन चेंबर्स नहीं होते. Do not call me or any other Molana or any other Ayatollah telling them Molana साहब भी गुनाह हो गया सरकार. तो कहेंगे अब तुमने अकेले तुम थे, गवाह भी तुमने बना दिया. Shar'an, in the Sharia of Allah and Rasulullah and Ali Rasul, it is haram to tell people about the gunaah.
गुनाह जी
14 chambers हैं, confession chambers.
क्या बात है.
दिल हल्का करना. 14 में कुछ ज़्यादा है. बीबी ज़ैनब सलाम अलैहा ये आलम बाहर लगा हो. Anything you want to talk about, anything you want to say, यहाँ जाके खड़ा हो जाए. बिल्कुल यहाँ दिल हल्का करें, क्योंकि आपकी इज्जत भी महफूज रखेंगे, इज्जत में इजाफा भी करेंगे. इज्जत में इजाफे भी करेंगे, आपको और मिलेगा, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा मिलेगा. क्यों? सही बात गलत जगह पे हो तो फायदा नहीं होता. गलत बात भी सही जगह पे हो जाए तो कभी न कभी अजर और नतीजा मिल जाता है. कम से कम इस काबिल तो समझा हमने और उन्होंने हमको। May Allah give us tawfiq to be attached to this door of the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. May we live by the words and the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt. May we die by the love and teachings of the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. Inshallah, we'll speak more on Dua al-Kumail and the many teachings that this dua has. But just the beginning is Allahumma inni as'aluka bi rahmatika allati wasi'at kulla shay. Just keep reminding yourself, oh Allah, I ask you, what is this dua? Is significant because on the 15th of Sha'ban, just the background and then we move to Musab. On the 15th of Sha'ban, Kumail, a very close companion of Amir al-Mu'mineen, he sees Imam Ali on the night of 15th Sha'ban reciting a dua. He goes up to Imam Ali and he says, Mullah, what is this? Kya dua pad rahe hain? So the Imam says, come see me at a later time. Kumail goes to the Imam and he says, this is the dua of Khidr alayhi salam. This is the dua of Khidr alayhi salam. इसका मतलब है क्या होता है? इमाम ने कहा खिज़र ने मुझे दी है। ये दुआ खिज़र के पास भी है। Pick up the riwayat, pick up history. Pick up riwayat, pick up history. When Imam Ali left this world, मौलाए कायनात का गुस्ल हो रहा था, सबसे पहले ताज़ियत करने वाला, आप 21 रमज़ान को आप दुआ पढ़े, मफाती खोलें, ज़ियारत इमाम अली अलैहिस्सलाम, सबसे पहली ज़ियारत इमाम अली की हज़रत ख़ज़र ने की। इमाम अली और ख़ज़र का रिश्ता सुभान अल्लाह। अल्लाह मूसा जिसके पास भेजे वो ख़ज़र जिसके पास भेजे So then Imam says, Kumail, try and recite this every Thursday night. If you can, at least once a month. If you cannot, at least once a year, 15th Sha'ban. And if you cannot, once in your lifetime. Isko zarur padhna, dua. And this dua of Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam, this dua, Kumail inshallah will speak more about this dua. It teaches you and it activates within you and it codifies within you your connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the Alawid paradigm. अब आप अल्लाह से बात नहीं कर रहे, और आपकी हर दुआ में अली की आमीन साथ शामिल है। जब उस्ताद आपको तैयारी कराता है तो इम्तिहान आप अकेले थोड़ी बैठते हैं, आपकी उस्ताद आपकी तालीमात के साथ साथ बैठता है। तो now Imam Ali alayhi salam had taught you this dua, अब अलगी रंग में दुआ कैसे मांगते हैं, that is dua Kumail। इंशाल्लाह इस पे कभी गुफ्तगू होगी। कुमैल the Sahabi of Imam Ali alayhi salam suffered what everybody suffers for the love of Imam Ali. जो कीमत है मोहब्बत इमाम अली की, वही कीमत कुमैल चुका है। 14 years he was with Rasulullah, and then with Imam Ali and with Imam Hassan. Al-Hajjaj ibn Yusuf calls Kumail at the age of 90, he's approaching. Very aged person. First he comes, he looks for Kumail. Kumail says, I have no work with this person. No, this is a good company. But then, because of reasons, when Hazrat Kumail realizes that this is my time, this is the time Imam Ali promised to me. He goes to Hajjaj and they have a conversation mentioned in history. How much of a threat is a 90-year-old man? A 90-year-old man, कितनी बड़ी threat हो सकता है? अली वाला होना तो हो सकता है। And he recognized this, कि अली वाला है। So he sliced his head off. खुदा अली वालों को अली से मोहब्बत करने वालों को, अली को चाहने वालों को, अली का नाम लेने वालों को दुनिया में जहाँ भी मौजूद है, अपने हिफ्ज़ व ईमान में रखें। और खुश सआदत उन भाइयों की पहचान जो इस दुनिया से चले गए तो वहाँ चले गए
जी, ऐसी
मौला के पास चले गए, और किस शान से गए होंगे। तो उसमें ऐसा तो चेहरा हो कि बीबी को दिखा सकेंगे, बीबी इसी रास्ते पे चलते हुए आए हैं, आपकी मोहब्बत में आए, नाम दे के मारा जाता है ना, तो खुश पे सआदत उन अफराद की। और खुदा जो समझते हैं आमीन के, खुदा हमें भी ऐसी शहादत नसीब करे कि कम से कम सैयदा को चेहरा दिखाने वाला है। मैंने क्या फायदा ऐसी जिंदगी और कैसी लेकिन जो बच्चे उनके हैं पार्चनान में, जो बच्चियाँ हैं, जो ऐताम हैं, जो ऑर्फन्स हैं, अपनी दुआ में उनको याद रखें, उनकी सलामती के लिए दुआ करें, सदका दें। और अगर कुछ अल्लाह ने आपको इस काबिल किया है तो उनकी मदद करें, उन तक पहुँचाएँ। यहाँ पे बहुत सारे लोग ऐसे बैठे हैं जो आपकी मदद कर सकते हैं, रहनुमाई कर सकते हैं। बड़ी तौफीक है, इट इज़ अ बिग ब्लेसिंग कि इस तरह से दुनिया से जाएं कि दुनिया रश करे। बहुत सारे ऑप्शन आते हैं, बहुत सारे तरीके होते हैं, बहुत सारे अंदाज होते हैं करने के। मैं पहले बता चुका हूँ, मैदान करबला अगर आप देखें तो आपको नजर आएगा कि हर मुसीबत जो करबला के मैदान में पड़ी है, इसको बहुत शबाहत है उस हर मुसीबत से जो मदीने में एक गली में एक रात में बीबी ज़हरा सलाम अलैहा को पड़ी। बहुत सारी शबाहत है। मैं माफ़ी मांगता हूँ आप लोगों से, सैयदा ज़हरा सलाम अलैहा के कुछ मसाइल ऐसे हैं जो मैं नहीं पढ़ सकता, वो अदब के खिलाफ है, पढ़ना अदब के खिलाफ करता है। सरकार जो गुजर गई और जिसने किया वो लानतुल्लाह अलैहि न ले। सिर्फ एक मैं बात चाहूँगा कि मसाइल हैं, शब जुमा में खुदा के अमवात की मरहमत फरमाए, कुछ आंसू निकलाएं। इस बात को महसूस कीजिएगा, हर मुसीबत जो करबला में हुई है वो मैक्रो है उस माइक्रो का जो मदीने में हुई थी। चाहे वो आग का लगना हो, ताजियानों को बरसना हो, तमाचा लगना हो, चादर की बेहमती हो, गले में रस्सियां डालना हो, लाशों को पामाल करना हो। आखिरी बात, हत्ता के हजरत अली असगर का और तीर का खा लेना और मुस्कुराना ये बताता है कि असगर ने खुद नहीं किया। उसका एक चचा है मोहसिन, यहाँ तीर था, वहाँ दरवाजे में पैबस एक मील थी। सैयदा को इस तरह से जख्मी करते हैं, इमाम अली शिकायत करते नजर आते हैं कि ज़हरा ने मुझसे छुपाया, मुझे पता है।
Ya Hussein, 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 Ya Hussein,